Not every celeb wants to appear on SNL. From MCU superheroes to comedy legends, these stars all said no thanks to joining or hosting the iconic sketch series. Following the disastrous sixth season of SNL, which ended in 1981, network exec Dick Ebersol took over in a last-ditch effort to revive the show. In the cast shakeup, he attempted to lure SCTV actors to the fold, including breakout star John Candy. According to Saturday Night, a backstage history of Saturday Night Live, Candy was mortified to find himself in a tug-of-war between the two shows. As a result, he managed to avoid Ebersol's overtures entirely, hiding out on his Ontario farm and letting Ebersol's phone calls go unanswered. But there was another reason why Candy didn't want to relocate to New York. His daughter, Jennifer, revealed to Today, "The other thing about my dad is that he was the ultimate family guy. That's the reason he didn't want to do Saturday Night Live. He knew the lifestyle wasn't going to be healthy for him. He was smart in that way."
Where's your office?
I don't have one.
How come?
I don't need one.
Where's your wife?
Don't have one.
How come?
It's a long story.
Do you have kids?
No, I don't.
How come?
It's an even longer story.
In recent years, SNL upped the ante with political sketches by recruiting A-listers like Alec Baldwin to play key roles.
Yes, this is real life. This is really happening.
When Kamala Harris selected Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate, SNL producer Lorne Michaels wasted no time asking Steve Martin to play him. However, Martin declined Michaels' invitation. He later revealed to the Los Angeles Times, "I wanted to say no, and by the way, he wanted me to say no. I said, Lorne, I'm not an impressionist. You need someone who can really nail the guy. I was picked because I have gray hair and glasses." In addition to his doubts he'd be able to land a solid Walz impression, Martin was also reluctant about the time commitment that would be required if Kamala and Walz won. He explained, "It's ongoing. It's not like you do it once and get applause and never do it again. Again, they need a real impressionist to do that. I'd be struggling." In the end, Michaels went in another direction with stand-up comic Jim Gaffigan ultimately cast as Walz.
Of course, it was offered to Steve Martin. He passed, and so the internet was like, what about this doughy white guy? What about this doughy white guy?
Comedian Shane Gillis made headlines in 2019 when he was hired to join the SNL cast and then fired before the season even began when an old podcast resurfaced in which he'd used racist and homophobic slurs. Despite that, Gillis went on to comedy stardom beyond SNL and all was forgiven. He even hosted the show in February 2024.
I was fired from this show a while ago, but if, don't look that up, please.
During that episode, Gillis portrayed a version of Donald Trump in a sketch spoofing his flashy gold sneakers.
I didn't miss. It went in.
His impression was such a hit that when the show's landmark 50th season kicked off that fall, Gillis was asked to reprise his Trump impression for the entirety of the season. But Gillis took a pass. He later gave a partial reason for turning down the offer. During an October 2024 appearance at Skankfest, a comedy festival in Las Vegas, Gillis explained to podcaster Louis J. Gomez that he turned the role down so he could perform there instead. Ben Stiller has had a long history with SNL, given that he was once a member of the cast back in the 1988 to 1989 season. His tenure was as brief as it was unmemorable, as he appeared in 4 episodes before quitting. He recalled while appearing on the New York Times The Interview podcast, "It wasn't great, but I knew that I couldn't do well there because I wasn't great at live performing. I got too nervous. I didn't enjoy it." There were no hard feelings from Lorne Michaels, who invited Stiller to host in 1998. A few years later, Stiller was once again tapped to host in the fall of 2001, having been booked 8 months in advance to coincide with the release of Zoolander.
And I'm not your bra.
As it turned out, Stiller's SNL episode was the second to air following the September 11th terror attacks in New York. Stiller's publicist called SNL talent booker Marcy Klein and announced he was dropping out because of the attacks. In the days leading up to the show, however, Klein began seeing Stiller appearing on TV, plugging Zoolander on The View and other shows. Klein said in the book Live from New York, "So what really happened was Ben's people wanted me to move Ben to the first show and rescheduled Reese Witherspoon, I just think it is so wrong what he did." Stiller went on to host again in 2011. Several years later, he appeared as Donald Trump's then lawyer Michael Cohen on a recurring basis. Chris Evans has starred in numerous high-profile films and TV projects, most notably portraying Captain America in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Given his high profile, it seems odd that Evans has never once hosted SNL. There's a very good reason for that. In an interview with ET Canada, Evans admitted, "I've avoided hosting SNL like the plague for years now just because I'm so scared. It's terrifying to me." He explained that his reluctance to host stemmed from being told by some very funny friends that he himself wasn't very funny. He added, "Hosting would provide a lot of sleepless nights for me." When Betty White passed away in 2021 at the age of 99, the world lost a true television icon.
I met a man this year who touched me deeply.
That could be half of Cleveland.
Yet despite all of her success on TV, White had never hosted SNL. According to Lorne Michaels, that wasn't for lack of trying. He told Vanity Fair, "We had asked over the years because she was one of the foremost comedians." In 2009, David Matthews, a self-described Betty White superfan, launched a Facebook post urging SNL to tap her as host. That post gained traction, racking up so many followers that Michaels took notice. For the fourth time, Michaels offered White an invitation, which she was inclined to turn down. Had her longtime agent, Jeff Whitgoss, not intervened, Whitgoss told Fox News, "Betty didn't really want to go to New York to do it, but I said to her, you have to do it. I mean, how could she not? And she trusted me." White agreed and made her SNL hosting debut in 2010, becoming, at age 88, the oldest person to ever host the show.
I'm 88 and a half years old, and I'm proud to unveil my giant Dusty Muffin.
Actor Mark Ruffalo, famously known as the Hulk in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, was also on the list of potential hosts for SNL.
I know, it's crazy. I'm wearing shirts now.
Like his fellow Avenger Chris Evans, Ruffalo turned down the invitation due to nerves. Ruffalo's fears of live television come from his dyslexia, since he knew that reading the show's cue cards would be tough for him. Ruffalo said during a 2024 appearance on the WTF podcast, "It scares me. I'll lose where I'm at on the page." During that conversation, Ruffalo confirmed that he'd been asked to host but declined. As he explained on the podcast, he was a lifelong fan of the show and didn't want to let down Lorne Michaels by delivering a terrible performance. Apparently, Michaels was not pleased when Ruffalo turned down the offer to host. Ruffalo added, "I'll never be asked back. I don't think Lorne Michaels likes it when you say no." In 2007, Michael Cera's career was exploding thanks to the huge success of Superbad, which he co-starred in.
What? One name? One name? Who are you, Seal?
Not surprisingly, around this time he received an invitation to host SNL, but he turned it down. Strangely enough, Cera felt he'd become too famous too fast and feared that hosting SNL would pour kerosene on a fire he was trying to put out. He explained in an interview with The Guardian, "There was a point where I wanted to stop taking jobs that would make me more famous." Not surprisingly, Cera's agents weren't thrilled by his decision to turn down the SNL hosting gig. Cera, however, stands by his decision, believing it was the right move for that time in his life. He explained, "I was kind of having a bit of a crisis. I was really not enjoying the level of heat." Famed for film roles in Pineapple Express and HBO's Eastbound and Down, Danny McBride has become a singular voice in American comedy. Long before that, though, McBride had the opportunity to join the cast of SNL, but opted not to. He explained what happened during an appearance on Theo Von's This Past Weekend podcast, revealing it took place while he was filming the 2007 comedy Hot Rod. McBride revealed that Lorne Michaels asked him to join the cast. As it happened, though, he was suddenly unavailable.
But it was the same exact week that we sold Eastbound and Down. And so I was like, as much as I'm flattered, this is what I'm going to go off and do.
Jennifer Hudson holds a rare place in the annals of American Idol, becoming the only singer to lose the competition and then go on to win an Oscar for her role in Dreamgirls. Since then, she's become a successful talk show host. During a 2025 episode of The Jennifer Hudson Show, she welcomed her Dreamgirls co-star, Eddie Murphy, who asked if she'd ever hosted. Hudson revealed that she was asked to host SNL right after Dreamgirls, but said that her greatest fear is public speaking, which would have made delivering the monologue terrifying.
I was completely intimidated, and I was like, no, I turned it down.
These days, however, Hudson admits she feels better prepared and would probably have a different response to a hosting offer, even though the prospect is still daunting.
Ooh, but the thought of it stresses me out.
Charlie Barnett only had a handful of credits in the 1980s and early 90s, including a recurring role as criminal informant Noogie on Miami Vice. According to Daryl Littleton's book, Black Comedians on Black Comedy, Barnett was discovered in New York City, where he was a popular performer. He attracted crowds with his spontaneous stand-up performances, often held in public spaces like Washington Square Park. He was such a source of pure comic energy that he landed an audition for SNL in 1979, Barnett did well enough on that first audition that producers brought him back, but this time they wanted to test his acting by having him read from scripts. Barnett skipped that second audition, though, because he was concerned his reading abilities weren't good enough. He told People back in 1983,
"I was too scared. I read good, but I read slow."
Meanwhile, Eddie Murphy got his spot in the cast instead. Barnett told People he was very jealous upon hearing the news of Murphy being cast on the show. While Barnett would go on to land a 3-movie deal with Universal, nothing much ever came of it, unfortunately. He died in 1996 at the age of 41.
Over the past few decades, Amy Sedaris has proven herself to be one of the funniest and most unique people working in showbiz. She co-created and starred on the Comedy Central cult classic Strangers with Candy, and then there are her other unforgettable gigs in the likes of Elf, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and BoJack Horseman. But one major comedy area where Sedaris has been conspicuously absent is Saturday Night Live. In 1995, a frustrated Janeane Garofalo left SNL in the middle of her one and only season on the show. Producer Lorne Michaels then sought to replace her with another young and edgy comedian, so he summoned Sedaris. As she later revealed in an interview, "I met with Lorne Michaels, but at the time we were doing our play One Woman's Shoe, and it was everything I wanted. One Woman's Shoe was a comic stage piece that she wrote with her brother David Sedaris." She also noted, "Maybe even 3 years earlier it would have been great, but at that point it was like, oh, it's too late." Jennifer Aniston actually did star on a Saturday night sketch comedy show, The Edge, which aired for one season on Fox. But she almost got the chance to be on Saturday Night Live around the same time, as her Just Go With It co-star Adam Sandler revealed on The Oprah Winfrey Show in 2011.
And we wanted Aniston to be on the show with us.
At the time that Sandler was a cast member in the early 90s, Aniston came into the show's office for a meeting with Lorne Michaels. Sandler was excited by the possibility of Aniston joining the cast, but she ultimately turned down the offer. As she explained during a 2019 appearance on The Howard Stern Show, "I didn't think I would like that environment. I was such a young twit. I was like, I think the women need to be treated better here, because it was such a boys' club. You're just not the brightest when you're in your early 20s.
You lectured Lorne.
I didn't lecture. I was just saying what I would hope if I was to do this, what I would hope it to be.
Around this same time, Aniston was gearing up to be in the cast of a different NBC show, a little sitcom that you might have heard of called Friends. Before Bonnie Hunt was a go-to Pixar voice actor, or the host of a daytime talk show, or the star of her own sitcom, she was a comic actor honing her skills in Chicago's thriving theater scene. She became one of the most popular performers in the Second City troupe, which has long been a stepping stone to SNL. So when representatives from the late-night show came to Illinois looking for new talent in the late 80s, the spotlight shined on Hunt. Her gifts and skills for improvisational comedy got her noticed by Lorne Michaels. But her love of being funny on the fly is what prompted her to turn down the offer to join SNL. As she told the Los Angeles Times in 2008, "I asked, if there's an end of a scene that doesn't feel like it's working, can you improvise? And he said, absolutely not." Hunt also wasn't impressed with the show's track record with gender at the time. As she put it didn't seem like women's careers were really launched on that show. In the mid-90s, Andy Dick ranked among comedy's cool kids. He was a cast member on the cult classic sketch comedy series The Ben Stiller Show. Alas, Fox canceled that show after airing only 13 episodes, as it was the least watched show on broadcast TV during the 1992 to 1993 season. 2 years later, Dick resurfaced in another acclaimed series, this time playing office buffoon Matthew on the NBC workplace sitcom News Radio, opposite the likes of Phil Hartman and Dave Foley. But Dick might not have ever ended up on News Radio if he'd taken another job that was on the table, SNL cast member. As he told Laugh Spin, "I said no because I had just come off the Ben Stiller Show, but the truth of the matter is I was afraid I would not be able to do a few characters every week. I didn't have the confidence that I do now." Dick also had some apprehension about performing live. As he explained, "For the Ben Stiller Show, we shot every single scene like a short film. So if I felt we needed to, we can just start again. You can't do that on Saturday Night Live." At the same time that Saturday Night Live was emerging as a force for hard-hitting comedy in America, Second City Television, or SCTV for short, was blowing up in Canada. And just like how the early years of SNL helped launch the careers of multiple comedy legends, SCTV made stars out of such cast members as John Candy, Rick Moranis, Eugene Levy, and his future Schitt's Creek co-star Catherine O'Hara. SCTV went on hiatus for most of 1979 and 1980, during which which time O'Hara joined the cast of SNL, but she never actually made it onto the air during this time, as she quit after about a week and a half. As she recalled to the Toronto Star in 2007, "I hung out with some nice people, tried to come up with some ideas, but I never really felt involved." Then O'Hara received word that SCTV was set to go back into production, so she told SNL brass that she had to go back. As she recalled, "I said I'd made a huge mistake. I'm not proud of that. I felt stupid doing it, but I had to come home." Throughout the first decade of the 2000s, Orlando Bloom was just about the hottest actor in Hollywood. He played a majorly crushable heartthrob in $2 billion franchises, The Lord of the Rings and Pirates of the Caribbean. So naturally enough, Saturday Night Live producers tried to get in on the Orlando Bloom action. He was offered a chance to host the show at the peak of his fame, but he said no. As he later revealed on The Howard Stern Show in 2019, "I was really insecure at the time. I was just like, partly my dyslexia, partly like that window of time where I couldn't even think straight and see the wood through the trees." Bloom's dyslexia would have potentially been an issue because SNL is produced in such a quick turnaround that cast members and hosts can't memorize all their lines and instead have to rely on cue cards. But if Bloom were to get the call to host SNL now, he would take it, quote, "in a heartbeat." As a writer and performer on such shows as The Office and The Mindy Project, it's hardly surprising that Mindy Kaling aspired to join the cast of Saturday Night Live, and she almost actually got there. During the second season of The Office, she was invited to audition for SNL, but it didn't work out because she was under contract at Dunder Mifflin. She told Office showrunner Greg Daniels that it was her dream job to be an SNL cast member, so he made a deal with her. If she was offered a position in the cast, then he would let her out of her contract. Kaling's audition went pretty well, but it ended up turning out a little differently than planned. Lorne Michaels offered her a spot on the writing staff, with a hint of a possibility that she could maybe move up to the cast one day. As she recalled to the Daily Beast's Last Laugh podcast in 2019, "So I went back and talked to Greg about it, and he said to me, 'No, that's not the deal we made. The deal we made is that if you get cast as a cast member, you can go.' And it was really a life-changing thing. I think the course of my career would have gone really differently had I left The Office and done that instead."
They offered me a writing job, and Lauren was very nice and said she was very funny. I completely understand, by the way, his decision, although, of course, it was not how I wanted the outcome to come.
In 1970, the Beatles split up, and all four members went on to forge successful solo careers. Then, in 1976, concert promoter Sid Bernstein tried to get the band back together by offering them $230 million for a reunion tour. In March of that year, SNL attempted to get in on the action when Lorne Michaels appeared on camera to make a hilariously lackluster offer to get the Fab Four to reunite on his show.
The National Broadcasting Company has authorized me to offer you a certified check for $3,000.
What Michaels didn't know was that as he made his humorous pitch, Paul McCartney and John Lennon were actually hanging out together at the latter's New York City apartment and watching SNL. They heard the offer and almost took Michaels up on it. As McCartney recalled, John said, "We should go down, just you and me. There's only two of us, so we'll take half the money." But it would have been work, and we were having a night off, so we elected not to go. Fellow Beatle George Harrison actually appeared on SNL the following season and attempted to cash in on the offer.
I mean, I've come all this way. It was $3,000. That was the deal.
I understand, but I mean, it was just one of those mix-ups.
Lennon tragically died just 4 years later, while McCartney would go on to perform on SNL on multiple occasions. Ever since her back-to-back breakout performances in 1989's Steel Magnolias and 1990's Pretty Woman, Julia Roberts has ruled over the Hollywood A-list and enjoyed an unprecedented 30-year run as America's unofficial sweetheart. She's done almost everything an actor can do, including thrillers like Sleeping with the Enemy, fantasy flicks like Hook, inspirational fare like Erin Brockovich, prestige TV like Homecoming, and of course, tons of romantic comedies. But there's one career milestone that has eluded Roberts, hosting an episode of Saturday Night Live. She's never actually confirmed whether or not she's been asked to appear on the show, although she has admitted that she isn't exactly inclined to take the gig. As she told EW Radio in 2017, "I'm too scared. I mean, I would do it with Alec Baldwin if we could be comedy partners just doing skits."